Well, from the Florida coastline to the leafy countryside habitatory that is Hampshire, and welcome along to the Conspit GR86 Cup in association with Tanso Racing Group Round 2. So, the first two races took place just the other week at the Daytona Road Course, because of course just recently we had the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, but we head to pretty much which is considered the fastest track in the United Kingdom. Thruxton in Hampshire, measuring 3.74 kilometres. Pretty flat, but very, very fast-paced. More to the point, we've got three classes in action. Welcome everyone to the JP Broadcasting Network. You join your commentary team for tonight. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm being joined in the booth by Dean Biggles-Hopton, who will also be operating our cameras live and uninterrupted. And of course, well, two fantastic races at Daytona last time out, which means we have a championship standing at the moment. And at the minute, well, after two dynamite races with grandstand finishes at Daytona, Tom Bland leads the way on 176 points, ahead of Daniel Wareham from Simtech. Lee Rylands rounds out the top three on 161, with Bradley Lovings and Tim Cullimore rounding out the top five in the overall classification. 25 drivers, including drivers from ITZ Racing, Simtech, DC Motorsport, TS Liveries, who are one of the backers of this series, DC Motorsport, Evolution Sim Racing UK, and also a league that you'll normally find on JP Broadcasting, the Old Guys Racing League, Team Tanso, HB Racing, amongst others. So in the pro classification, Tom Bland leads on 176, ahead of Daniel Wareham on 164, with Lee Rylands in third position. Bradley Lovings leads the Pro-Am classification with 143 points, ahead of Jack Holland in the ITZ Racing entry on 137, Dan Forster on 134, Eugene Webber on 119, with Rick Wishen, who got the frighteners on Tom Bland in the first race at Daytona, rounding out the top five. Adrian Hanfield, Terry Atkinson, Peter Duke, Mickey Dolan, Peter Woodmore and Dave Collier round out the 11 in the Pro-Am class, and Tim Cullimore leads the way by 24 points ahead of Preston Hathaway in the Am classification. Stuart Briley in third, equal on 110 points with Simon McPhee. Adam Hansen fifth on 104 with Curtis J. Matthews, Richard Modric, JT Johnson, Craig Corish, Clyde Cunfer and Michael Champlin rounding out the 11 strong. Well, we are nearly in the dying throes of the 10-minute qualifying session. The format is as follows: a 10-minute qualifying session, a 20-minute first race, and then we go full reverse grid for race number 2. Mr. Biggles, are you with us, good sir? Good evening, good morning, where you are at the moment over in Australia.
Good to be back in the booth there with you, Alex. It feels like it was just yesterday, and it certainly was yesterday. Well, as you mentioned, so we've got a couple of rounds under our belt. We're up for a couple of heats tonight there in a feature with those reverse grids, as you'd mentioned. The drivers are out there at the moment finishing up their qualifying. And this is the first time I've been around this track, Alex, and now we're speaking in the green room. You've been here in person a couple of times, right?
Yeah, for the British Touring Car Championship. Also, this is a host of the British F4 Championship, Porsche Carrera Cup GB, Thruxton Historic, British Superbikes, British Supersport, the British Talent Cup, and also TCR UK Touring Car Championship. Venture to this particular circuit. It's also hosted the likes of European Formula 2, Formula 5000, British GT, British Formula 4 International, FIM Endurance World Championship with the Thruxton 500 and Boss Formula. But at the moment, Jack Holland is the fastest driver overall in this qualifying session. And there is Rick Wishen making his way through in towards Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. A very not too dissimilar complex from Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel at the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone. And then he's going to fire it out of Seagrave and go through this very fast, increasing right-hander in towards Noble. But the session has concluded.
Yeah, going into
and Jack Holland has put it on pole position. So we're going to very shortly take you through our starting grid. They're readying up, so let's give it to you. Here's the grid for race 1 of round 2. Jack Holland starts on pole position with DC Motorsports' Peter Duke alongside. Lee Rylance and Daniel Wareham, row 2. Simon McPhee and Adrian Hadfield, row 3. Dave Collier, Rick Wishon, Preston Hathaway and Dan Forster ran at the top 10. Peter Woodmore, Sean Atkinson, Adam Hansen, Michael Vesta round out the top 14 positions. Terry Atkinson, Tim Cullimore, Dean Cummins, Bradley Lovings, Josh Arnold, Michael Champlin, Jeff Sepulveda, Clyde Comfort, Stuart Briley, John Johnston, Curtis Matthews and Michael Dolan round out 13 rows of competitors. 26 drivers as we are under starters orders for the first of 2 races. It's a 20-minute race. Grid decided by qualifying. Jack Holland, the 325 on the Pro-Am classification, becomes the second different pole winner in the respective rounds of this championship season. After this, next week, we'll go to the Algarve to Portimao for the halfway point of the season. We're just waiting for the likes of Preston Hathaway, Bradley Lovings and Curtis Matthews to get themselves ready up. They won't have long to do so. They're given about a couple of minutes or so by the server timer. Curtis Matthews has now jumped into position in P25, the inside of the final row. Preston Hathaway and Bradley Lovings might find themselves starting from the pit lane as we wait for Barney, our flag marshal, on the start-finish line here at Thruxton. First, this circuit started being used from 1968 and is also the headquarters for the British Automobile Racing Club. 12 turns in all as the 5 red lights now start to ignite here for race 1, round 2 of Conspit GR86 Cup action. Lot of wheel spin from the inside row. Peter Duke in the 277 starts pulling along side and gets through on Jack Holland through the run into Allard, and then it's going to be the run down to Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. 2 by 2 Harago, Duke and Holland, Rylance and Wareham just behind them as Holland's looking to the inside into Campbell. 3-4 abreast at the back part of the field, but early doors, Holland and Duke duking it out, pardon the pun, as they come out of Seagrave and then into this next fast bit of the circuit. They're going to be pushing north of 100 plus miles an hour into Noble and then into the right-hander at Goodwood. A little bit of a hip check between Holland on the inside of Duke. And they go side by side. And Holland back through. Duke runs a little bit wide going through Goodwood in towards Village. And now you can see the slipstream really picking up as Daniel Wareham in the 373 Simtech entry tries to dive through on Lee Rylance, gets 3rd place. But now Jack Holland has started to get a little bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel. 3/10 is his advantage over Peter Duke. And the Pro-Am driver leads the way as we're very quickly coming towards the end of lap 1. They're going to go through Church and in towards Brooklands, and now in towards Club they go. And the first lap in the books, Jack Holland leading by nearly 7/10 of a second. It's a Pro-Am 1-2 with Peter Duke in the 277 rounding out the top 2. And it's Wareham and Rylance, the leading pro class drivers, in 3rd and 4th respectively. We've got Forster versus Hadfield going through Allard and into Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. 3 wide, and someone was definitely trying to be a bit cheeky there. I think that was Rick Wishon in the 274 trying to look for the inside move at Campbell but could not get through. But it's been a very clean lap so far. Michael Dolan, Richard Champlin and Sean Atkinson. There's 2 Atkinsons on this grid, Sean and Terry. Sean in the 286, Terry in the 282. There's Adam Hansen from the Dadbod Motorsports crew, the number 19 from the United States of America. He's battling away with, well, you can just see he's battling away with Terry Atkinson from TS Liveries. Big thank you to them, and also big thank you to title sponsor Conspit, the sim racing hardware provider based out of Shanghai. Came to the market back in 2020 and continues to bring their own flair of sim racing hardware equipment to the masses. But great battle here between leading pro Daniel Wareham and Peter Duke, the 2nd place Pro-Am at this moment in time. And Duke is definitely shutting the door at the moment.
Yep, and he's put a double exit. No, well, he is shutting the door. Daniel's off into the kitty litter. He's going to come back on. It's going to be a big attack there from Lee, who's going to send it and say, thank you very much, I'll take that. You get into the kitty litter, my friend, and that's all she wrote on that one. Lee up to P3 currently at the moment. Well, maybe not just yet.
So
it's further back.
No, and retake of the lead going through Seagrave by Peter Duke, and now it's 3 wide between Rylands, who's now second. He's got Wareham to his outside. Holland's dropped to 5th, and he's also been passed by Dave Collier in the 216, who's made up 3 positions in this opening race. Unfortunately, Jeff Sepulveda in the 25 from the US has dropped down to last place. Michael Vester, who started in 14th, now all the way down in 25th. We ride on board with a DC Motorsport car from Dave Collier, and that was a nice little move from Jack Holland to gather himself back up again, get back into 4th, but Dave Collier, fastest driver at the moment, 1:21.650. Tim Cullimore's gone for a little bit of off-track action in his own right, down in 17th position, but this is getting very, very exciting at the front end of the field, as Collier gets back through on Holland through at Club. And now, well, Holland lost all that momentum just basically because the fact that Collier was right on his 6 got the job done. And Collier now going after Rylands, who's running that Newcastle United Adidas livery on the car. And there's a dive from Collier. Rylands keeps it to the outside through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, retains 3rd position for the moment. But at the minute here, Dean, top 5 covered by 1.4 seconds. This battle is absolutely captivating. We thought Daytona was an absolute stonker. Thruxton has upped the intensity at least by an infinite amount of times.
I love this too. It's almost absolutely no straights on the circuit as well too. Everything is curved. It's almost like a motorbike track really at the end of the day. But this is brilliant there. Peter Duke isn't quite running away with this one. Daniel's hunting him down at the moment again too, and there's 3 at the back there. We're all shuffling for the final podium positions, of course, but we have heat races to go and reverse grids.
Lee Rylands going a little bit wide there and lost out big time, and he's just lost another position to Simon McPhee as Daniel Wareham through at Club on lap number 4 gets through for the race lead on Peter Duke. Dave Collier trying to close down in on his DC Motorsport teammate. Jack Holland is not out of this by a long shot. He is closing in on the 216. As dramas for Peter Woodmore in the 289. Watch the rejoin coming out of Club. But he manages to get back, he manages to do the business. But that was, I think someone's gone off. That was Curtis Matthews sideways. And I think front end into the barriers off of Club Corner, and the front end of that GR86 has been completely rearranged. Who needed a plastic surgeon? All you needed was a barrier.
Oh, well, it's a little buff out, won't it? Of course, later on, thankfully.
That'll polish out, mate. You know.
Yeah, in the virtual world, it won't cost you about $10,000 or something. Probably about £6,000-7,000 or anything at the moment. But as you said, this is where the action is here currently at the moment. These gentlemen realize it is a sprint race to lap 30. Let's see if they can get the job done. There are your top 6 drivers, as you said, separated by about the width of the piece of paper we have here.
Yeah, it's an A4 sheet, in other words, folks. But change for the lead. Duke up the inside of Wareham, through into Club Corner once again. And that's coming through the fast part of the circuit at Church, where you're flat on the throttle in top gear, and then you've got to make sure that you make it nice and neatly through the slight parabolica corner at Brooklands, as Holland goes on the offensive versus Collier. And this is going to be a very, very close 4th affair. Inside line for the next right-hander will go to Jack Holland, who gives a little bit of a paint scrub of Dave Collier's car, but still into the next right through at Seagrave. Holland back up to 3rd. McPhee and Rylands are coming back into this, and Rylands has got a big old toe as they go through Noble at a big rate of speed, 100 plus miles an hour. Now through into the right-hander that tightens back onto itself a little bit here at Goodwood, and you can see a lot of the muck being clattered up by right rear tyres going into the grass at Goodwood. Now through into Village. And you've got to be very committed through here into Church. You're going to be hugging the apex as much as you can. Now through into Brooklands, they are at full pelt, full throttle, and Rylands has got Dan Forster closing in. Meantime, Daniel Wareham trying to put the frighteners on Peter Duke into club corner. Jack Holland looking for an opportunity. He was later on the brakes, but he's lost it. He's lost it through club. Jack Holland saves it from going into the barriers, but that has cost him third place.
He's got to get on the gas here quickly. He's going to sit dropping those places like the 929 stock exchange, unfortunately for him, but he should be able to slot in just ahead there of Sean. No, he won't. Michael now has to think about slotting back in. That's P13 from P3 to P13 in the drop of a stone.
Well, good to see Claire Neal saying Sean. I would imagine, Claire, you're cheering on Sean Atkinson, the 286, saying, get your butt up those numbers. Terry Atkinson.
Terry, perhaps. Hopefully not.
Terry's just had a hip check. And he's dropped down the order as well. He was definitely very much fighting at the sharp end in race 2 at Daytona. Adam Hansen in the Dadbod Motorsports car is nearly 3 wide. You've got... who have we got there with Hansen? We've got, I think that's Dean Cummins in the very grubby looking number 32 car. You also got Adam Hansen. Bradley Lovings has gone for an off-track. Josh Arnold, the Canadian, who's made up 10 places from the race start, is in the battle for 8th place. Well, it was his name, wasn't it? But Josh Arnold from Canada in the 355 from Simtech. Now we go 3 wide for the briefest of moments. Jack Holland has got pace in that 325. They go through into club corner. There's a big... You can go 2 wide. Yes. I've seen it 3 wide in British touring cars. That never goes well. But a moment for Adam Hansen drops it. And there goes Jack Holland. It's 3 wide into Allard. And, well, Arnold gets through. He's got Sean Atkinson and Josh Arnold behind him, running on board with Dean Cummins. And the number 32, he's trying to close in on Josh Arnold, who's now dropped down to 10th position. Josh, one of the pro-rated drivers. But Dean Cummins running in the AM classification, currently being led by Simon McPhee, of all people, in the number 42, who started on the inside of row 3, has not moved position, but has kept it very, very stable. And between Jack Holland and Rick Wishen, in the battle for 3rd place in the AM classification, well, the gap between them is about 8 seconds, and we are over half-time in this race. We're 11 minutes down, 9 to go. So we will hit the timer rather than the laps here. So, just be careful of the AstroTurf on the outside of that runoff area. And I think that was Adrian Hadfield and possibly Bradley Lovings that both had a little nibble at the grass. You can just see some drivers getting very adventurous with their lines here going into club. There's the number 19, Adam Hansen from the USA. Michael Dolan inadvertently puts on the wipers coming through club corner. Just behind them, it is 3 wide between Hansen, Lovings and Hathaway. And Hadfield has dropped down to 17th place overall. Cullimore gets through on Hathaway, through Allard and into the run into Campbell. Meantime, Peter Duke and Daniel Wareham at the front end of the field are 2.5 tenths of a second apart. Dave Collier, the Irishman in the 216, still has the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 21.6. There are battles up and down the order. There's the battle for P5 between Simon McPhee, Rick Wishen and Dan Forster. Now this is very, very crucial for Wishen and Forster because they've got a 2-second gap to find to close in on Dave Collier, but Simon McPhee doing a great job. Meantime, Daniel Wareham in the slipstream of DC Motorsports, Peter Duke, and they're coming through into the next complex, and more to the point, well, it is through club. So we're going to complete our 9th lap of racing. On to double digits we go. Wareham putting the frighteners on Duke for the overall race lead. It's Pro-Am versus Pro, and neither of them are giving in. No one's giving an inch. No one's taking a mile in this fantastic battle at the sharp end of the grid.
They are throwing these cars around like it's absolutely like you've taken your little beat up V-dub around the backyard, mate. This is absolutely fantastic, throwing it around, of course, backyard track here in the United Kingdom. I hope it's in the United Kingdom. I said I just got the track, but fantastic racing right up the front here. We've got replays to show, which we forget time. We'll show those replays, of course, but at the moment we don't want to miss any of the live action. That's the battle for P1 and P2, battle for P6 and P7 and P8, P5, P6 and P7 at race moment is going for a tooth and nail. Just don't know where to point the camera, my dear friend Alex, because there's action everywhere.
Well, Simon McPhee has found himself in 7th position now because of the combined efforts of Dan Forster and Rick Wishon. Claire Neal saying, yep, Sean Atkinson now into the top 10. He's currently running 9th, about 8.5 tenths behind Jack Holland, who put it on pole position. This could nearly be 3 wide if Simon McPhee decides to pull the car to the right. He is going to do so, but he's going to wait and see what happens in front. Rick Wishon to the outside in towards Club, ahead of Forster. McPhee giving chase, and now there's been a change for second. Lee Rylands in the in the Newcastle United tribute livery band there, with the Adidas 3 stripes on each door card, gets through on Daniel Wareham, but Peter Duke has pulled away to the tune of close to 1.2 seconds. And, well, Dan Forster being closed in on by Rick Wishon. Here's the battle for 10th with the likes of, well, 9th, 10th and 11th. That is Sean Atkinson versus Josh Arnold and Michael Dolan. So Atkinson's got to make the rear end of that 286 GR86 as wide as humanly possible. But Michael Dolan's throwing it up the inside through on Josh Arnold, gets through, but it's a right-hander coming up. The Canadian's going to have the advantage through the sweeping right at Goodwood, gets back through into 10th position, and now Dolan back on the counter-offensive, going through one of the fastest parts of the circuit, through into Village, now into the right here at Church. Dolan dives in with minute precision and gets the job done as they head towards Brooklands, now in towards Club. And Peter Duke is now being reeled in by Lee Rylands for that lead. But here comes back Daniel Wareham through on the inside of the 382. Through at Allard. Wareham back in business. But keep your eyes on the man not too far behind. Dave Collier is closing on significantly. And Dave Collier, more to the point here, Dean, took half a second on that last lap out of the race leader.
He's up 3 places, the Irishman as well, too. Just behind him, Dan Forster, that's up 5 places. P1 and P2 up 1 and 2 places, with Lee starting in that P3 position, currently running in that P3 position.
So we are coming down to the final 4 minutes of this race with 50% of the way through this lap. We're currently on lap number 12 at the moment as Rick Wishon trying to get through on Dan Forster. They've got Simon McPhee giving chase. McPhee trying to get through on Wishon. He could make this 3 wide into the next right-hander. It could be 3 wide. They are going to try it. Oh, but there's contact! Contact between Wishon and Forster. They both go off onto the grass, and Simon McPhee says, thank you very much for that. It's like that. Oh, no, after you, sir. No, after you, sir. But Rick Wishon's fired straight back at Simon McPhee. Yeah, to me, to you, as we were talking on the FDL Endurance Championship, the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship at Mount Panorama, just, I think it was probably about 14 hours ago we were commentating on that.
Dad's gone around
Peter
somewhere.
Duke.
Sorry to cut you off on that one.
Dan Forster is gone.
Unfortunately, into the key letter. We'll go back to the lead there. So go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, so Dan Forster, well, he's dropped outside of the top 20, but more to the point, we are coming up to nearly halfway through this 13th lap of this race with just over 2.5 minutes to go. So it could be this plus 2 more remaining. So we could end up completing the race with 15 laps. Don't forget, we've got the full reverse grid race coming up next, which will be 25 minutes. And a look at all this juxtaposing for position all the way down into like 18th, 17th, 18th. Yeah, that was Peter Woodmore and Stuart Riley. Yeah, it was big beef right there. Well, it was scraping beef. Maybe a bit of tenderization was maybe needed. But we go back to Terry Atkinson, who's trying to swing it high, wide, and handsome around the outside of Michael Vester. Meantime, Simon McPhee round the outside of Rick Wishon. And this is going to go into club corner. So effectively, we've got 2 laps to go. Peter Duke leads by nearly a second ahead of Daniel Wareham, who's got Lee Rylands and, more to the point, Dave Collier on his 6. So this could give Peter Duke the opportunity to pull away. 277 from DC Motorsport could be the first Pro-Am winner of the season. Tom Bland not here this evening, but more to the point, Peter Duke has started to pull away, but that gap is slowly but surely coming down. Daniel Wareham now about 7/10 of a second behind. He's bringing along Rylands and Collier to the party. They do say that two's company, three's a crowd, but Dave Collier still keeping the throttle pinned whilst turning right through Goodwood. Now they go through Church. This is going to be really very much down to the wire here, because we are just under a minute to go. Next time around it will be the white flag lap as Dolan and Atkinson go wheel to wheel. Dolan cuts across the front of Atkinson, and Sean will try and see if he can get up into 8th place. But our race leaders now start the white flag lap here at Thruxton. There he is, Barney the flag marshal, doing his duty. They've got a back marker in front. This could be the opportunity where Daniel Wareham from Simtech in the 373 tries to get through on Peter Duke. Duke frantically flashing the headlights at the driver in front. I think that's Curtis Matthews, who's the only driver that they've been able to catch in this 20-minute adventure around this 2.356 mile 12-turn circuit. Wareham gets the slipstream. Yeah, this is going to be going into Noble, then into Goodwood. Now, Peter Duke has got to keep this car on track, but more to the point, if he tries to fire it up the inside of Curtis Matthews, he's got to be very, very careful. Matthews makes the mistake in front of Duke. Duke stays in the coattails to get a bit of a slipstream, but now he's frantically on the headlights saying, come on, man, get out of my way. And Matthews duly obliges. Now through in towards Brooklands for the final.
He almost blocked out.
Dave Collier nearly rear-ended Curtis Matthews at that point, but we've got club corner still to go, and it's going to be a run to the line. Wareham looking for the inside line into club. Checkers out this time. Wareham gets through on the final chicane and picks up the victory here at race 1 round 2 at Thruxton. Side by side for third. Rylands pips Collier by 1/1000th for third place at the line. Peter Duke takes second position, but wow, what a grandstand finale. Again, it's a pro that takes the spoils, and that makes Daniel Wareham our second different race winner of the season so far. Here's Michigan's Jeff Sepulveda, and this is probably where we saw him having a drama. Yeah, the 25 having a drama by being hip checked at club corner.
He had another one, I think, with Peter.
This is going to be through club corner. Well, that was completely unassisted there. This is going to be a repeat of Peter Woodmore in the 269. Now this is going through club corner. He bounces over the curbs and just over rotates through the second part of club. Then this moment with Terry Atkinson, and who was he alongside? I think it was possibly Adam Hansen. It was Adam Hansen, the number 19, and yeah, through that particular part would have been Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. Michael Champlin in the 520 Sim Racing OGRL car makes his way through into club, the number 7. Yeah, high sides it on the curbs, keeps it out of the barriers. Preston Hathaway in the number 22. Well, that just goes to show what happens. But let's take you through the results for race number 1, shall we, folks? Because, well, more to the point, we've got a 5-minute warm-up. But race number 1, it was Daniel Wareham from the pro class in the 373 Sim Tech entry that took the win. Peter Duke, so close but no cigar for the 277. He was holding on, but it was all down to a back marker in the way, and, well, it just goes to show never say never in motorsport. Lee Rylands takes his second podium of the season so far, finishing P3 overall, second in the Pro class. Dave Collier rounds out second in the Pro-Am, in the DC. So 2 DC motorsport cars that could have gone into the podium overall here at Race 1, Round 2 at Thruxton. Jack Holland, our pole sitter from ITZ Racing, would recover after a nasty spin to finish 5th ahead of Rick Grisham, with Sean Atkinson taking 7th. So, Claire, I know my ears are burning right now, and you're screaming into YouTube chat at the moment. So, good job by Sean Atkinson. Josh Arnold made some good progress. I think that was 11 or 12 positions gained by the privateer from Canada. He finished ahead of Dean Cummins and Bradley Lovings, who rendered out the top 10. Adam Hansen, Adrian Hadfield, Simon McPhee, Clyde Comfer, Peter Woodmore, Michael Vester, Terry Atkinson and Tom Cullimore round out the top 18. 26 drivers in that first race, with Stuart Briley 19th, Dan Forster 20th, John Johnston, Jeff Sepulveda, Michael Dolan, Preston Hathaway, and Michael Champlin finishing on the lead lap, with Curtis Matthews from OGRL in the 83 from the US rounding out the finishing order 1 lap down. We have got a little bit of warm-up, but yeah, some really, really good high-octane, high-velocity action here for race 1 of round 2 here at Thruxton, Biggles. Yes. And we've got another 25 minutes to go after this.
Yeah, exactly, for the second heat reversed grid, which will be very, very interesting, of course. Wow, what a race. And I tried to squeeze in as much of those replays as I can at the end. The drivers didn't give us, and I didn't get the memo, did they, Alex, about choreographing your overtakes at a certain time so that we can kind of capture all of them at once with the one camera that we have. But yeah, and at the very end, I try to squeeze in all those replays, because once we change over to this warm-up session, they're all gone because it's a new session. So we do our absolute best. Barney, give us a wave.
You know what I'm gonna do when the replays go and we get put onto another server. It's this.
Oh yeah.
It's always a shame because we love Oh, we're not going to start bringing out the soundboards, folks. It's just
Barney might get a black flag. There he is sitting at the moment. Is it really the fastest circuit in the UK that they're claiming there on the?
Well, the funny thing is, there's a little bit of trivia. It is often referred to as the fastest circuit in the UK. Now, an example: Damon Hill drove his Williams Formula 1 car around this circuit in 1993 at an average speed of 147 miles an hour, which basically is close. Yeah. Yep. That would have been the. Yeah.
All right, Terry, give us an example of that right now. The 282 are right on board, okay? So he's doing an average of, I don't know what you'd say on this one. Let's have it at the dashboard. Yeah, he's doing about 110. Now, what did you say he was throwing that around before?
Well, average speed Damon was throwing the car around at was 147 miles an hour. So a Formula 1 car of that ilk, when you're talking the days of Mansell, Senna, Prost, Lauda,
right?
Actually, they got I think in those days it was more like the V10 era. You know, the V10s had started coming in.
That's Schumacher.
Ferrari,
the 12s actually. Yeah.
You'd probably find that an F1 car of that ilk would be able to do around about, maybe say coming out of Church and into Brooklands, you're probably talking 190 miles an hour before you have to slow it down for club. And the curbs are quite high. I mean, this is why this circuit is a big challenge. There's also the Thruxton kart circuit not too far away from here as well, because of one particular visit for the and this is actually during COVID-19. A good friend of mine, Bill Williams, who's also good friends with David Brabham, they have a charity called Racing for MND, which is racing for it's awareness for motor neuron disease, and just helps to exclusively raise money to fund that genetic research. And Bill asked me to come along, and I went, yeah, I'll definitely do it. I had an opportunity to go down to report for, at the time, Downforce Radio for on BTCC. But, folks, looks like we've got our grid set for race number 2 for round 2. So let's take you through it. Curtis Matthews will start from pole position. He'll be joined by Michael Champlin on the front row. Preston Hathaway and Michael Dolan round out row 2 with Jess Sepulveda and John Johnson. Row 3, Dan Forster, the first of the Pro-Ams, will start 7th. He'll be joined by Stuart Briley, Tim Cullimore and Terry Atkinson round out the top 10. Michael Vester and Peter Woodmore round out row 6. Then we go on to the next page of the grid. Row 7 will be Clyde Cunfer and Simon McPhee. Adrian Hadfield and Adam Hansen will round out row 8. Bradley Lovings, Dean Cummings, Josh Arnold and Sean Atkinson ran at the top 20 with Rick Wishon, Jack Holland, Dave Collier, Lee Rylance, Peter Duke and Daniel Wareham complete the grid as we are lights out and underway. And it's 3 abreast between Dolan, Champlin and Hathaway going into Allard for the first time. Curtis Matthews is leading, but the question is not if. When does someone get past the 83 from the United States? Well, that question could be very quickly answered because Curtis Matthews, trying to look round the outside and get the over-under done through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, has to wait for his opportunity. Side by side a little bit further back, Dan Forster versus Preston Hathaway as the field makes its way through towards Noble and Goodwood for the first time. Michael Dolan going round the outside of Curtis Matthews to try and line it up for the right-hander here at Goodwood. 25 minutes, not 20, as opposed to the first race. The drivers do have 2 fast repairs at their disposal, but Dolan literally bump drafting on Matthews through Village. Now going in towards Church. Dolan's got the inside line. Is he going to fire it up the inside? He's going to give it a hell of a go. And now it's going to be the run through Brooklands. Dolan back on the coattails of Matthews. As we run down towards Club to complete the opening lap. Dolan's now starting to get the side drift. This could line him up perfectly for the inside line into the chicane at Club Corner. He's got through and got the job done. Very much what we saw with our race winner Daniel Wareham, who put the move on Peter Duke on the last corner, last lap of the race. Preston Hathaway now sees Curtis Matthews in his crosshairs as the battle for P2 continues through from Allard. And, well, Hathaway's going to try it. Oh, they tangle into Campbell. And big old hit for Curtis Matthews sideways into the barriers. And Preston Hathaway has to wait to rejoin the field.
Oh, you can kind of see the writing on the wall on that one, isn't it? Something was going to argy-bargy as he didn't want to concede another place there, so he was fighting tooth and nail. Look at this, my friend. It's like the M2 highway. We're not going to go 4 wide, gentlemen, are we? Seriously.
We nearly went 5 wide there, for goodness sakes. My godfathers. And Simon McPhee keeping the throttle lit whilst full tilt, right side of both axles, front and rear, in the grass. Curtis Matthews is now in the pits. That's significant damage for the number 83. Oh no, that was Stuart Briley. He's lost it. He's lost it at one of the fastest parts of the circuit. A pirouette a la Ken Block. And Briley, well, good thing there was a lot of grass coverage and no barriers in close proximity, because that car would have been absolutely destroyed. Adrian Hadfield runs a bit tank slapper happy through the second part of Club. Meantime, Peter Woodmore now closing in on our new driver in second place. Welcome to the front end of the field, Jeff Sepulveda. And Sepulveda holding on to that second place. Tim Cullimore in 4th. We see a little bit of an opportunity here for Bradley Lovings to get through on Adam Hansen and Simon McPhee. They've got Jack Holland not too far behind. As well, who was that? Peter Duke. That was high, wide and handsome, slim shady round the outside of Michael Champlin, and it looked like Champlin was sitting still. Jeff Sepulveda has now dropped to 4th place, courtesy of the efforts of both Peter Woodmore. Sepulveda around the outside of Cullimore, nips ahead by a nose for 3rd place. Terry Atkinson from TS Liveries, but look at the brazen brazen move, kept it round the outside, did Michigan's Jeff Sepulveda in the number 25, around the outside of Tim Cullimore, who's just been done over by Terry Atkinson. My godfathers, that was absolutely epic from the guy from the USA, but he overcooks it into club. It's been his nemesis in both races 1 and 2. Well, and big dramas there for Peter Woodmore. So Woodmore not having a great second race either.
Yeah, it's just that bear with me for a second. I've had a little electricity problem, so I'm trying to keep it going. I think I'm on battery, on mains, but we'll see. Keep going, my friend.
Yeah, well, we're nearly 5 minutes in to this 25-minute feature race here at Thruxton. Portimao is going to be a very different challenge for the drivers in just a week's time. But Simon McPhee again has made his... Well, Simon McPhee, how many places has he made up? 9 places. Jack Holland has made up 15. Bradley Lovings has made up 12. Adam Hansen has made up 12. Daniel Wareham and Peter Duke, who were duking it out for the race win in race 1, both have made up 17 spots apiece. And Jack Holland is right on the tail end, Charlie, of Simon McPhee. The lap's a little bit slower than the previous one. Our fastest lap done by the number 42 was Simon McPhee, a 1:23.286. As it's been a bit more frantic. Big moment there. That was for Tim Cullimore. And Simon McPhee cuts the track coming out of Club Corner. And that is Peter Duke, who's just got through on Jack Holland. It's going to be 3 abreast going into Allard. And that was Tim Cullimore to the outside, Jack Holland, Piggy in the middle, and Simon McPhee to the inside. And, no! Cullimore gets a little touch from the back end of Simon McPhee, and McPhee gets the run coming out of Seagrave, and they both tangle again, and McPhee's just hit the barriers, spears off the circuit, left-hand side of the track, and the right-hand side completely stoved in.
Further back here, Peter Woodmore's always in the action there of Adrian Hatfield. It's all going everywhere here up the road. There's Sean Atkinson and Tim Cullimore. Is Sean going to send one up the inside? Yes, he will. So he'll get himself up 12 places in this reverse grid there and get himself a nice P8 position. Further up in the front field, there is Michael leading from Terry and Adam. That's your battle for P1 currently on your pitches.
Well, Peter Duke has really put the hammer down, and there he is.
Yep.
Well, that's actually Bradley Lovings. Dives up the inside, through into second place. Goes the number 269. Michael Dolan, in the meantime, in the 257, who's currently one of our AM class drivers. And, well, Michael Dolan doing a really, really good job at the minute. He is leading... Well, he's in the... I think, yeah, Michael Dolan I've got here showing in the Pro-Am category. He's part of the ESR team, Evolution Sim Racing. So, but there we see Peter Duke, who's got Jack Holland in front of him. Not too far behind, though. Keep your eyes on the man in 7th position, who's 1.6 seconds away from this battle. Our race 1 winner, and that was Daniel Wareham. Jeff Sepulveda's dropped it again. And he's dropped down outside of the top 15, drops towards the bottom of the top 20, might find himself outside of it very shortly if he's not careful, because he's got Canada's... Josh Arnold is now ahead of him, so Jeff Sepulveda rounds out the top 20. And this is a big old battle here. Big old battle here. So you got Lovings versus Hansen versus Atkinson versus Holland versus Peter Duke. And, well, at this moment, 7 seconds might not mean that these drivers might have an opportunity to get through. But if they stop battling away over position, they will be able to catch Michael Dolan. Daniel Wareham fires in the new fastest lap of the race, and he's only half a second off the battle in front of him. As through goes Hansen on Lovings. Lovings returns the favour through at Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave once again. So more to the point, the OGRL number 269 doing a great job here, and that's a bit of a run wide there from Terry Atkinson in the TS Liveries car, and that's allowed Peter Duke to get through. Here comes Daniel Wareham. This is at Noble on the run down in towards Goodwood, so Wareham's going to tee it up nicely behind Duke. So these two really putting down the pace. Wareham is absolutely flying at the moment. Terry Atkinson trying to get back through with a little bit of slipstream assist. And then Lovings versus Adam Hansen. Hansen through on the inside, nearly clips the barriers going through Church. You don't want to do that because that'll spin the car. And there is Jack Holland.
Wow.
He's got a real run here. Through into Brooklands. Holland gets 2 for the price of 1, gets the bog off, gets the buy 1, get 1 free special, and he gets through into second position. Now he's got to basically go hell for leather and start pulling away. But I've got a gut feeling here. And if Daniel Wareham gets past Peter Duke very quickly, now these two were battling mano a mano in that previous race right up until the checkered. If Wareham gets through, he's the fastest. Well, he's the third fastest in the top 6 on track at the minute. So they are really, really starting to pull away from the field. So we were hoping for possibly a Pro-Am winner. Well, we've had 3 wins for Pro cars at the minute. Could that change here in race 2? We are 10.5 minutes down in this race. As more to the point, Adam Hansen looking up the inside again. This time going through Goodwood, off of Bradley Lovings, gets the job done. Peter Duke tries to stick his nose up the inside of the 269. This could open the door for the man we're riding on board with at the moment, Daniel Wareham, who goes round the outside a la Slim Shady on Peter Duke. He dives to the inside of Bradley Lovings. That is absolutely barnstorming. For the 373 from Semtech, he's going to line it up neat and tidy up the inside. Through he goes into club corner. Daniel Wareham from Stone Dead last, but he gets a touch from Lovings from behind coming out of the final corner. They are 4 wide across the line. Wow. That was so lucky for Daniel Wareham. He nearly ended up in the barriers, but there's a little bit of a touch between Hansen and Lovings. Wareham round the outside, gets back through, round the outside at Allard, and now he's got an opportunity of trying to see if he can get through on Duke. Now, Jack Holland, in the meantime, has bolted away and is running 2/10 quicker than Michael Dalton, our race leader. We are 40 seconds away from half-time, and as they say, Dean, never say never when it comes to the unpredictability of
yeah,
motorsport.
exactly. You've got a bit of time to get it done there. You can see those lap times currently, and that's the last lap time that they're doing. But, of course, you can keep, more importantly, an eye on the interval times of what's happening, because Michael Dillon's up the road. He's 7 seconds and change, so see if they can slice and dice through that. But isn't it fantastic battles? As my electricity has all sorted itself. Went on solar to mains, from mains to solar. I've got a UPS backup anyway. We're good to go.
Happy days. That's what we like to hear. Keep on trucking, as they say. But Peter Duke rounding out the top 3 at the moment. Here's Adam Hansen in the Dad Bod Motorsports number 19 through into club corner. Nitro Cecil Jr. says Adam's got to be getting a workout right now. Well, with a team name like that, I'm not at all surprised, as now the change has happened between 3rd and 4th. Daniel Wareham gets through on Peter Duke. They've got to start pulling each other forward and stop battling like the 2 petulant children battling over the last swing in the playground at the minute, and that's not what Daniel Wareham wants to do. He wants to repeat the feat that Tom Bland did at Daytona and pick up the double victory. But that is going to be far from over. They've got to now close in on Jack Holland, and Peter Duke is saying otherwise. He's saying to Wareham, I don't care if you're a pro-class driver. You've got me to contend with, and I'm going to give it everything. And Peter Duke, very, very much, nearly gave us the biggest upset of the season so far. We're only into our second. We're only closing in on the first third of the Conspit GR86 Cup in association with Tanso Racing Group, being a third of the way through, heading into Portimao next week for round 3. And Peter Duke still is battling away. Wareham's like thinking, "Come on, man, just work with me. We need to go for those in front." And they're going to be side by side into club, and a loss of momentum for Peter Duke. Bradley Lovings has got through on him, and now he's run wide coming out of the final corner. Hansen and Atkinson alongside Duke make it 3 wide heading into Allard, and that is going to be Hansen through for 5th place. Now into Campbell. Peter Duke has got to be very, very careful what he does here now. Deep on the brakes goes Terry Atkinson. Cuts off the racing line, so Peter Duke has not got any real estate to play with. And now hopefully this will now release Daniel Wareham, but he's got Bradley Lovings closing in on his back wing. And more to the point, Lovings is just as feisty as any of the drivers behind. I mean, if you get Adam Hansen in this, he's done some great moves over the course of not just this evening, but the first race evening at Daytona Road Course. And you can just see that Bradley Lovings is giving it full guns blazing. He's not allowing Wareham to breathe and to get away. And Adam Hansen is going along with them. Hansen now fancies a chance of a top 3. Can he get the side draft? I think he pulled out a little bit too early, but he had no other alternative.
He's got it.
Now through into the right-hander. He's gone into club. Oh. He's got Wareham to his outside. Oh. Wareham's got the best racing line, but Hansen spins it around. Oh, and glances the barriers. So that was a very, very big moment there for Adam Hansen, who drops outside of the top 10. Meantime, Bradley Lovings finds himself in 6th behind Terry Atkinson. Peter Duke now rounds out the top 4. What has this allowed to happen? Daniel Wareham has now got 1.4 seconds of real estate and daylight between himself and Peter Duke. But you can bet your bottom dollar, folks, with just under 10 minutes to go, we'll make that 9 minutes to go now, that Daniel Wareham needs to start pushing like crazy. Because of all that battling, it's compromised him. But in order to get that race win, he's got to find the best part of 13 seconds in the next 8 3/4 minutes here, Dean, and that's not going to be an easy shout to do.
No,
if he had 15 minutes to go, I would probably say, yes, there's an opportunity.
Or we'll throw it at a safety car or something like that too, mate, and then it'll re-rack and restack them. But that's not going to happen here this evening. We'll go back to that battle with Terry and Peter. Now, I'm just keeping an eye, too, at the moment. So, Mr. Jack Holland in P2 shaved about a second off Michael, but does he have enough time? It's one thing to catch, another thing to overtake.
Yeah, he only took 0.3 of a second out of Michael Dalton that last time around, and he's just done a 21.9. So, good lap time there from Jack Holland. I'm now waiting to see what Daniel Wareham puts across the line. Daniel Wareham's dropped behind Peter Duke. So I think Wareham's had a slowdown. He did a 22.7. Duke did a 22.6 flat. So I think maybe if Daniel Wareham was pushing too hard, he got a slowdown penalty, and that has cost him the chance of victory there. So more to the point, he's now got to do his ding-ding seconds out round 2 with him and Peter Duke for what is going to be the final step on the overall podium. But more importantly, it will be another pro victory for Wareham at this moment in time, because Lee Rylands in the Newcastle United Tribute Band livery is all the way down in 13th position, despite having made up 11 spots. Daniel Wareham and Peter Duke level pegging on 22 places gained. They started on the back row of the grid. And now Lee Rylands dives up the inside. That's on Adrian Hadfield, and looking to use the curbing does Lee Rylands. Go on, son. He kept that one stuck in, that's for sure. And still they're nearly side by side into the next part of the circuit. Once again, Rylands using the inside curbing. But Hadfield is not letting him get away with this. Now, bearing in mind, Rylands is a pro-class driver, and Hadfield is a Pro-Am. Sean Atkinson has gone off circuit. Bradley Lovings tags into Daniel Wareham and nearly loses the back end big style. That allows Terry Atkinson to squeeze into the middle of those two. So at the moment, Terry Atkinson is the TS liveries meet in an OGRL and Simtech sandwich at the minute. But more to the point, DC Motorsport having Peter Duke on course to picking up a second overall successive podium. It won't be the class win for Peter Duke, but that is Rick Wishon. Rick Wishon hitting the barriers hard. I think the front right was completely collapsed, and the bonnet and the bumper completely stoved in. Rick Wishon, well, he had a great run in the first race at Daytona Road Course
to happen.
I hate it when you never like it when that kind of situation occurs, and it's big damage for Rick Wishon.
They're at it again.
Wareham and Duke.
There's bump drafting.
They're attracted by the wing, aren't they?
Yeah.
The wing and the bumper. You know, it's like to me, to you, to me, to you. Very shortly, we're going to be into the final 5 minutes of this race. But meantime, Jack Holland has been closing that gap. It's now 4.7 seconds. There's Sean Atkinson from TS Liveries. Of course, Sean and Terry being related, it looks like. So, but Sean currently sitting in 13th place. He started 20th. And Mike, oh dear. Now, that was the 32, wasn't it? Dean Cummins, who got an absolute wallop in the side. He's rejoined, but Josh Arnold is now the latest casualty to end up down pit lane.
Don't get running into Dean, mate. He's got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do this. Have some consideration.
Yeah, as is Biggles to broadcast this where he is at the moment.
Yay!
Bradley, keep
Kitty little.
Well held. A big set of steel cojones for that young individual there. So Bradley Lovings from the OGR, the Old Guys Racing League, in that car, keeping it pinned. The 269.
What is the minimum age?
Are leading
to join that league or something, mate?
Yeah, exactly. So that man's definitely got well enhanced steel cojones. Is all I'm going to say on that one. But Bradley Lovings, our highest placed driver from the US, currently running in 6th place, up 11 spots at the moment. Is the Pro-Am driver. He's still battling away with Terry Atkinson, the 2nd place driver in the AM class, whereas Michael Dolan, who is still leading, well, the gap is coming down. It's 3.4 seconds and closing. Michael Dolan's last lap, 22.597. Jack Holland, 22.125. And they're topping out around about the same sort of top speed, just about 210 kilometers an hour, or around about 130 miles an hour.
Yep, all by himself. For now, and there's Jack.
Yeah, well, Jack's just taken a 10th out of him in the opening. Let's just have a look in his, because there's 4 sectors here at Thruxton.
There's another victim to the best seats in the house.
And that's Jeff Sepulveda, who was running P2 earlier on in the race. So, poor old Jeff. Real shame from there. But the gap now is 2.6 seconds. So, looking at the last sectors, Jack Holland took 8 tenths out of Michael Dolan in the first sector. Second sector, over half a second. Over 2 tenths in sector 2 and sector 3. And now Peter Duke and Daniel Wareham. Oh dear, now this is going to get a bit tasty here. Terry Atkinson round the outside of Daniel Wareham, who loses all that momentum coming out of club corner. Yeah, Jack Holland is on an absolute tear. That gap was at one point 6 seconds. It is now 2.5. And we are currently coming up to 2 minutes to go. So I would imagine it's going to be this and one more. Oh, bit of a wiggle there from Daniel Wareham behind Bradley Lovings. Wareham's opportunity to have a top 3 has gone awry. He'll still get the Pro Class lead because there's 5 cars between him and Lee Rylands. Dan Forster there at the moment, ahead of Rylands, with Hadfield just in front. Okay, so we're seeing a bit more of a trend that the gap is still coming down. There is Michael. Right, so let's see. Where is Michael Doland? He's up there in front. There's Jeff Sepulveda in front, I believe, with Jack Holland looking up the inside. Sepulveda lets him go through. We are going to have, I think possibly, it's going to be close on this one. Have we crossed the line? Yes, we have. So it is going to be 1 and 1 more. So we're going to hit 19 laps. And Jack
lap.
Holland has just done the fastest lap of the race. 1:21.622. His top recorded speed, 132.2 miles an hour, which is around about 215 kph. He has taken chunks out of Dalton, and Dalton knows. Well, all I'm going to say is it's echoing of what happened between Wareham and Duke last time round. Daniel Wareham trying to get through on Terry Atkinson, but Bradley Lovings is also there. Peter Duke is leading this train, and there's Jack Holland, and well, there is Michael Dolan. They've got a back marker in front. I think that's Stuart Briley in front of them there. So everyone up until 18th place so far have been lapped. They're now going to make their way through in towards Club for what could be the penultimate time. We're going to be tight on time here. Gap is coming down rapidly. Less than 2.5 tenths of a second. Make that 2 tenths. Jack Holland now thinks his opportunity is possibly to strike here at Club. Dolan's going to make this picture perfect. Coming out of the final corner. Are we going to go on to one more lap remaining? Yes, we are.
Yes.
We've got one more lap, literally, with 1 second remaining. We go on to the 19th and final lap, and Jack Holland has been given the most well-needed get-out-of-jail-free card in a Monopoly game that you can think about.
Yeah, he's got to give it everything at the moment there. He's so lucky that he got it. Michael's like, darn, I got to do this for one more lap. Well, you certainly do. There is still that battle brewing behind, but I've given you guys enough camera time. Terry's managed to steal that P3. Well, that'll certainly sort itself out, but I don't want to take our eyes off the top two here because Jack's been doing all the hard work for that 3.25 machine to try to catch Michael. Michael has to hold him off for this final lap.
So they go through Goodwood for what's going to be the final time. Now it's the fastest part of the circuit here through Village and in towards Church. Gap now is going to come down as Jack Holland has the slipstream very much engaged. Here through Village, now in towards Church they will go, and then in towards Brooklands for the final time. The gap now a 10.5 and closing. Jack Holland sees daylight, and he pulls to the left-hand side. He pulls ahead of Michael Dolan, and it's the run down through Brooklands in towards Club Corner. Holland has got the move done, but is he overcooked it going into Club Corner? It could be wheel to wheel.
Whoa.
Holland, it's going to be a run to the line. Holland runs wide. Dolan gets the slow down. Holland picks up the win in race 2. Wow, what could you say about that? But it's going to be a big old dust up a la MMA style, like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz with P3, and Daniel Wareham picks up his second pro win of the night, taking third ahead of Peter Duke, Bradley Lovings, and Terry Atkinson, with Peter Woodmore rounding out the top 7. And it's Rylands versus Forster, as Collier's going to take 9th place. It's going to be... Who's it going to be? Could it be Rylands around the outside of Forster? It's the run to the line. It is Rylands who takes 10th place, second in pro, ahead of Dan Forster. So we've also had Stuart Briley's finished. Simon McPhee has finished. Jeff Sepulveda. John Johnston. We've got a few more drivers still to come. Here's Michael Vesta from OGRL. Preston Hathaway comes across the line in 14th, ahead of Rick Wishen, who finished 21st. Michael Vesta's going to take 15th, and more importantly, 5th place in the AM classification as per the timing. Dean Cummins comes out of the final corner. He's going to finish in 16th place. 4 non-finishers in that. Sean Atkinson on lap number 14. Josh Arnold, lap 14. Adam Hansen, lap 11. And Clyde Cuntfer out on lap number 10, as Curtis Matthews decides to go and do a bit of grass inspection in the OGRL number 83.
Probably looking for one of those jumps that the drivers like to do at the end of the race somewhere around.
Oh, you mean the one like at Mount Panorama when they finish the Bathurst 12-hour special event, and then everyone decides to jump. It's the tradition. But what can you say? Jack Holland makes it a third different winner, and more to the point, the first Pro-Am victor of the series so far. So let's take you through the provisional results from race 2, the 25-minute feature race here at Thruxton in Hampshire for the Conspit GR86 season in association with Tanso Racing Group. Jack Holland after 19 laps, picks up the victory by 1.8 seconds ahead of Michael Dolan, with Daniel Wareham rounding out the top 3. Peter Duke, well, still manages to get another podium in the Pro-Am classification, finishing in P4 ahead of Bradley Lovings from OGRL. Terry Atkinson in 6th place finishes a very good result there for Terry for the TS Liveries brand. Of course, one of the co-sponsors along with Blue Angel Kennels that have come on board. So a big thank you to both those parties for being co-sponsors of the championship, along with our title sponsor over in Shanghai. Big thank you to Conspit for their assistance. Peter Woodmore in 7th, head of Tom Cullimore, with Dave Collier rounding out the top 9. Lee Rylands finishes 2nd in Pro, and more importantly rounds out the top 10. Adrian Hadfield, Michael Champlin, Preston Hathaway, Michael Vester, Dean Cummins, Dan Forster, Stuart Brierley and Simon McPhee round out the top 18. Jess Sepulveda was very much in the thick of the early throw, well, the thick of the sharp end of the field, early throws of this race, but would tumble down to finish 19th. John Johnston finished 20th, the number 55 representing Team Tanso. Rick Wishen, 21st. Curtis Matthews, the last of our classified finishers, a lap down off of the leaders. Well, everyone up until 17th were lapped. But then, of course, we had 4 non-finishers in the form of Sean Atkinson, Josh Arnold, Adam Hansen, and Clyde Cunfer. That rounds out your provisional finishing order, which means that Tom Bland, if you're making a return next week to Portimao, you've got some cleaning up to do, because there are people who are definitely in the mix. Daniel Wareham and Jack Holland. Of course, we have 3 respective championships. This will run all the way through until the 16th of February. So a reminder of the calendar. Round 3 this time next week will be the Algarve International Circuit in Portimao. Then we go to Barber Motorsports Park on the 2nd of February. Summit Point hosts the penultimate round of the season on the 9th of February, and then the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in good old Montreal in Canada on the 16th of February will round out this season of the Conspit GR86 Cup in association with Tanso Racing Group. Now, we look back at the early throws of this second race, so at least we can enjoy the replays. Pretty clean early on, if I must say here, Dean. And it just goes to show that the drivers really have the start was not so... the first one was quite calamity-filled, if you will.
Yeah, you're looking at the back here. That's Jack Holland back here, and that's Daniel. And they're right at the back of the start of this race, and they sliced and diced their way through the whole field. Of course, Michael had the advantage of being right up the front. Not right up the front, but he had advantage of starting this feature race in a good position. But you have to give it to both Daniel and Jack fighting tooth and nail. More so to Jack, because look, Jack's here, and you got to remember, you wouldn't think this on lap 1, would you? That he's going to end up rolling 21 places up there and taking the victory in the dying stages of this race. So hats off to him. You can see he just has to sit there and watch a couple of cars into the notorious corner up here at the club. Of course, that's where you get your little fold-out chair and your cooler and sit back and relax. So that would be the gold tickets around this track. And wow, what a cracker! Absolutely. I think we got Mr. Peter Duke wants to have a bit of a chin wagon to us, mate.
Let's have a chat with one of the standout drivers from tonight's festivities here at Thruxton. Let's see if we can bring him in. I think you've got authority, right? So I don't think I'm. Yes.
Peter.
Well,
copy. Yeah.
So let's welcome into the booth DC Motorsports Peter Duke. Peter, good evening.
Hi Alex, how are you?
Not too bad. Well, you definitely had your elbows out, kicking and screaming tonight, my good man, didn't you?
I needed to do something after the last weekend. I had a bad weekend last weekend, but I did a wee bit of practicing during the week, and unfortunately missed Thruxton last year, and I knew I had the good enough times to be in the top 8. So yeah, I'm happy. Some good racing with Dan Worm. Every time I looked, either in front or behind, he was there the whole 2 races. But first race, tight. Second race, tight. So, good evening.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, the battle between, I think it's like you and Dan Wareham are magnetized towards each other. It doesn't matter what class you're in, but it just goes to show that with this single make series with the Conspit GR86 Cup, that everyone's got an equal opportunity. I mean, we didn't just see yourself in there. We saw the likes of Terry Atkinson, Bradley
Yeah.
Lovings, Michael Dolan, who got away to a big lead. And I think at one point we were counting 7.5 seconds, and then
Mhm.
Jack Holland got through all the melee that was happening between you, him, Daniel, Bradley, Terry, Peter, Tim, and et al., and just literally just went away. It was like someone had set a firework off on his exhaust pipe and just sent him. It was like he was shot out of a gun, like a bullet.
Yeah.
But the let's look back at race one, because you were holding on to that lead
Yeah.
so well, but then you came up against Curtis Matthews, and you were you were flashing the headlights to say, "Come on, man, get out of my way," because you had Daniel right on your six.
Yeah. And you coming into the last lap, I had to be, I needed to get out of that last corner, which was really quick. You can't lift at all, and I lifted the slightest bit to get round the back marker, and Dan unfortunately got the run on him, and there was no sense in hugging the inside because, he just had the run on me, and only for the, at the end of the day, back markers, things happen, and I just lifted, and Dan got the run on me, but, it was I really enjoyed the first race, and then going into the second race, I said to my teammate, Dave Collier, I says, Dave, let's just go and race and have a good race, and at one stage I looked up, I was lying third. I says, how did I ever get here?
That's very, very true. And also the fact that your teammate, Dave Collier, the man behind DC Motorsport, well, he made up a big amount of places in that second race. He made up 18. You made up 21 because you're alongside Daniel on the back row with the full reverse grid. The full reverse grid, it really does put the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons, doesn't it?
It does. Well, the reverse grid, to go to qualifying, I think you were saying about being equal. I think having qualifying being out on your own, it was a lot fairer because you can't tow anybody. So, qualifying is faired up now. Sorry, what was I forgot the question you asked me there.
It's just basically that, I'll rephrase it. Having the full reverse grid for race 2, it's a bit like putting the cat amongst the pigeons, and you've all got to mind your P's and Q's, cross the T's, dot the I's. It really does add a bit of spice to this championship, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It gives the guys down the grid a bit, of experience racing with the guys coming from the back. I think in race 2, when you do start from the back, it's damage limitation and just trying to avoid people spinning and try and get as many points as you can for the championship. Obviously, race 1, you're starting from the front. You want to finish in the top 6. So, yeah, I'm chuffed with, I think it was 2nd and 4th tonight. So, heads up to my teammate too, Dave. He went well this evening as well.
Brilliant. Well, Peter, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank for tonight?
No, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting again. It always adds that extra element to it. And thanks to Dan with 2 good races, close, few touches here and there, but that's racing. And thanks to everybody, and also thanks to John, who organises it every week. These things just don't happen. There's a lot of organisation behind the scenes, and I'd like to thank John and his team for doing a great job.
Brilliant, Peter. Thanks so much for talking to us in the post-race show, and well done on your respective, I think, win and also second, I believe, in the Pro-Am class. So well done, my buddy.
All right. Cheers. Thanks a lot, guys. Speak to you next week.
Brilliant. A big thank you there to Peter Duke. So, well, we're hoping we might have another driver to speak to this evening. But your take home from your first experience of Thruxton, considered the fastest circuit in the United Kingdom here, Biggles. Yeah. It provides great racing, doesn't it?
You threw me into the deep end, haven't you? We're here at JPB on this. I have had the luxury of commentating for the Tnso Racing Group for probably good couple of years now. I think you have too, Alex, but not this particular GR86 group for the Cup Series. And new circuit, a whole bunch of very eager drivers for round 2. This is absolutely fantastic. It was just cracking races, mate. You know, it's such a good race as a broadcaster when you barely ever get a chance to look at a replay. And I don't think in the feature race we didn't even get to look at the replays. We know we only had to do it at the heat race at the very end. That goes to show you how exciting it is. So you got to give it to all those drivers that are battling it out. Unfortunately, we can't catch all the battles, so I do apologize if there are other drivers that were battling. But you know, it tends to you have to prioritize the top of the timesheets more of those fantastic battles. And of course, they gave it to us. There was, if you weren't excited about this, then you're not enjoying sim racing.
Well, it's like John Hindhaugh says that if you don't love motor racing, you've got a rock for a heart. So on that note, folks, thank you so much for tuning in for round 2 of the Conspit GR86 Cup in association with Tanso Racing Group. And you've joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Dean Biggles-Hopton on what has been a JP Broadcasting production. Folks, just a reminder, round 3, the halfway point of this series, heads to the Algarve in southern Portugal, to the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve in Portimao for the halfway point. More exciting action coming up. Well, if you're still on the JP Broadcasting Network, head over to our broadcast for IGP Fun Super Formula Lights Season 1, Round 5, currently underway at Mugello. And also, we welcome back the return for their 5th season as Round 1 of the SR4S, the Sim Racing for Simpletons Super Formula League, gets underway at Mugello at 10 to 1 tomorrow morning. We've got the NicholsOilPro.com Series Round 3 at Martinsville, and we got the Clark St James GT3 Season 5 Round 2 at Jerez tomorrow evening. The Radical SR8 Championship Season 2 Round 5 powered by Gridfinder at Circuit Zolder. The Autobahn Sports Car Challenge Season 14 Round 9 heads to Montreal on the 21st, and then the first round of the FDL Super Formula Light Sprint Series heads to Suzuka in Japan on the morning of the 21st. Well, race hard, race fair, but if in doubt, you've got to go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night for now.